I've been working with the Weather Service since about 1998. I started in Texas as the public affairs officer in Texas. And it was a really wonderful first experience to join the National Weather Service. Because it's like one of those missions where when you get into this field, you immediately recognize that people really care about the organization. That's the people inside the organization and the people on the outside of the organization. So the customers, the people that we serve every day. If many of you probably remember the May 3rd, 1999 tornado in Norman, Oklahoma. Went through Moore, Oklahoma, killed quite a few people. It was a devastating F5 tornado at the time. I actually was on the service assessment team and there in the community the next day, and the devastation was complete. It was really incredible. And we see these kinds of things over and over again, but what you experience when you're there working for the National Weather Service is when you're in that community and you talk to people and they say, thank you for that warning that you gave us. It's really special and it means a lot to us. Now, until social media and new digital communications came along, we didn't really have a great capacity to reach out and touch people and let them know what's going on. The way that we did that was through NOAA Weather Radio. How many of you own NOAA Weather Radios? Actually, wonderful, great. You could be our future sponsors for that. It's a great program, and if other things go down, cell phone towers, etc., don't work, NOAA Weather Radio is a way to stay in touch. NOAA Weather Radio is also will set off an alarm in the middle of the night and wake you up when there's a tornado warning for you. So it's a really invaluable service, but it's not where most of us communicate today. Where most of us communicate today is in the digital realm. 80% right, of Americans who are on the internet interact through email. We spend 80% of our time, I should say. That's significant. That's huge. So we know email has value, and the work that we've done with Gov Delivery has provided us a great new capacity to communicate those watches and warnings for tornadoes, hurricanes, and others out to a vast new group of people that wouldn't get those messages from us otherwise. Another is obviously social media just in general. We've heard some, I think, riveting talks this morning about Facebook in particular. And so for Facebook, when you think about the National Weather Service and our goal, we look at Facebook as sort of like the current 800-pound gorilla in the sort of blogosphere, right, in these sort of mini blogs. And it is a great tool, and I was fascinated to learn some things about the algorithms today. So it's a great tool for us in the National Weather Service, and it's a great tool because, like David was saying earlier, it empowers people. We've known for some time, and we had confirmation from this after the Joplin, Missouri tornado of this year. The Joplin tornado killed almost 160 people. It was an EF5. It's the same power, the same strength as the tornado that went through Oklahoma back in 1999 that I mentioned. That tornado was really well forecast. We had a 17-minute tornado warning lead time. So from our traditional standards, by the way, watches out a couple of hours in advance, and we had severe weather outlooks days in advance saying that this is going to be a major tornado outbreak in this location. So from a traditional weather service meteorologist perspective, why would anybody die in a case like that when we knew that tornado was coming? So from our community, it's hard to understand how people could die with that good of a tornado warning, lead time, watches, and outlooks. But the reality is our lives are very complicated today. And this gets down into the social science aspect and the great value of where social media helps meet the need. The reality is our lives are complicated. We have a tremendous competition for some of us, minimal brain power that we've got, others much, much better. But this idea of cognitive complexity, this idea that we can observe and hear and understand things that come into us and then take action based on those. So we identify and personalize the risk. When we start to do that, and we do that effectively, we could save our life. But we can't do it all on our own. Social media comes into play here, Facebook in particular. And so what we're discovering, and we discovered again following the Joplin tornado, people don't react to the first siren they hear. When they hear that tornado siren go off in Joplin, they say, oh, we've heard it all before. We've had a lot of tornado sirens this last year. So they start to, some of them, proactively look for secondary confirmation. Who do they look to? They look to their friends, their family members. They look to broadcast meteorologists, so TV and radio. And now, thanks to social media, they look to social media. They look to Facebook and Twitter. And so the National Weather Service now has a national Facebook page And we use that at a national, very broad level, kind of a coarse granularity, if you will. And we deliver information about major threat areas. We not only deliver information about major threat areas, we encourage people to pass it on to their friends. And this gives you a sort of a broad view. But just like politics, all weather is local. And so our local offices now have their own Facebook pages as well. And we have a local weather forecast office here in Sterling, Virginia that takes care of us in this area. They're adding their Facebook page. That's actually online now. It's going to go live pretty soon. When they actually issue a tornado warning for this area, and by the way, there's a slight risk of severe thunderstorms today in our area, and that includes the possibility of tornadoes. So pass that on to a friend, please, through Facebook or Twitter or any other approach that you can. When they issue a tornado warning out at Sterling, we want people to be friends with us, like us on Facebook at that local level, at the local office level, and pass that on. And we know when they pass it on, that's that secondary confirmation people are often looking for. And we also know trusted sources are incredibly important. So when they pass that on, that trusted source, that individual who tells us, it's a friend or family member, tells us that there's something that we should watch out for, we're more likely to take action based on that. And that's incredibly invaluable. We discovered the same thing, by the way, with Hurricane Katrina. And obviously, in the case of Hurricane Katrina, there was a specific community that was most at risk, actually, from that event. And it's that neighbor to neighbor, friend to friend, family to family discussions and connections that are most critical in any community around the country facing a severe weather threat. So for us, digital communication, to go back to some messages that David was delivering, is about empowerment. It's about empowering our entire society. It's about empowering you as an individual to share that information about that tornado warning to save more lives. And we've had some bumps and bruises along the way. As a science agency and a risk communication agency, basically, we know that we have to be very methodical in the approach that we take. And the other challenge is, because obviously you field something improperly, you're not ready to manage it, people come to expect it, I think, which is a lesson learned. I didn't do a top 10 list like the other guys, which I think is a nice idea, but one of the lessons learned, obviously, is don't put it out there unless you're going to manage it and keep it up, because if you don't, you set a new expectation. And once you go live, you're done. That's it. People are going to start to expect it right then. So know what you're getting into. And we have an emerging technology team. Actually, I see Ron Jones over here. I didn't know you were here. Glad Ron is here. Ron is the co-leader of a national emerging technologies team in the Weather Service that evaluated Facebook. They evaluated Twitter. And by the way, we're starting to experiment now with Twitter to issue warnings and the like. And they're evaluating other technologies that are also on the horizon, other digital communications technology. GovDelivery offers just a tremendous suite of capabilities that we're very excited about and we think are going to be important for our future as well. And so I do encourage you, to explore all those possibilities, all those capabilities that are out there. I know that we have, and like I said, we've had some bumps and bruises along the way, but I think we've had some successes too. How many of you saw during Hurricane Irene, the surfers walk out on the pier and they were jumping off the end of the pier? Did you watch that video? So those people, are probably not going to send a Facebook like message to somebody else and say, hey, be careful because there's a hurricane coming. All right. So we know personality-wise, they're probably not people we're going to change the mind of. And then the others, some of us are much more prone to worry and be concerned about those things and take action early and share information. And those are great messengers for the National Weather Service. And it's all the rest of us in between. All the rest of us in between, that when we share information, we share it with a sense of trust, and we have credibility with the people that we're talking to, the friends and families. And that trust and credibility is incredibly important. And with an empowered community and empowered society, we believe that through Facebook, social media, Twitter, email exchange with GovDelivery, we believe that we can do a lot more to create what we've been calling a weather-ready nation. On May 22nd, the Joplin tornado hits the city and kills a tremendous number of people, almost 160. On May 23rd, we did a national news conference in which the director of the National Weather Service announced that the Weather Service is going to start a national dialogue to get to the bottom of this, to get to understanding why there are so many people dying from severe weather this year. And by the way, this is a record-breaking year for the number of tornadoes. April had more tornadoes than any other month on record in the history of the United States. It was a very extreme year from all standpoints, including the number of fatalities, which is around 550 in total from tornadoes alone. And when the director made that announcement and said that we were going to start a national dialogue, what he was saying was, we need the community's help. So we took that message and we delivered that message through Facebook and through Twitter, that we were going to start a national dialogue because we needed the entire nation's help to build a weather-ready nation so that we can reduce the number of fatalities, because this stuff's not going to end. The number of tornadoes, the types of impacts we're seeing, this is a trend that's not going to end anytime soon. So we have to be, as a nation, prepared to deal with that. And I think that the National Weather Service, through its Weather Ready Nation Dialogue, the leveraging of the strengths and capabilities of organizations like GovDelivery and those in the private sector weather industry, as well as the social media, I think will go a long way toward getting people ready and prepared to take the right actions at the right time for them to save their lives.